corps avec mes mains. Je voudrais pas crever sans connaître la lèvre ou les sept maladies qu'on attrape là-bas.
Thank you. Marjorie, welcome. You look wonderful.
Is this
Oh, is it working? Yeah.
It's working? Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And obviously, WWD, we've covered Dematerialized and LUKSO for quite some time now. And obviously, WWD is really engaged and curious and exploring and finding out how digital fashion and fashion is being involved within Web3 and in blockchain and NFTs. And so we'd love to start off with a question. Obviously, would you love to introduce yourself to our audience and what you do at Dematerialized and LUKSO? Would you do that for us? That would be great.
Amazing, of course. Well, hi everybody. So happy to be here in Busan today and hang out with all of you and share a little bit about my work and what we do at the Dematerialized and at LUKSO. I'm originally from Venezuela. I'm based in Berlin, in Germany. I trained to become an architect, and then when I was done with that, I was like, I don't want to be an architect. What do I do with all of this knowledge? And between different things in my career, it took me to a passion for technology and design. I became part of the blockchain space quite early on, around 2013. And in 2017, I decided to follow my passion and my intuition and become an entrepreneur. And that's when I built my first venture called LUKSO out of Berlin, which is a blockchain protocol and targeting truly the creator economy. And LUKSO is meant to disappear in the background and basically just provide with the tools and applications that creators, brands, and the ones alike require to enter the blockchain space and empower themselves. And then after that, in the year 2020, I started with my partner, Karina Grant. We started the Dematerialized, born out of our passion for dematerialization and digital goods and gaming and the convergence of culture and technology and fashion. And we started the Dematerialized in London. And yeah, right now I work and continue to work in both companies and, following kind of like my passion for, I think, for the future more than anything.
Definitely. Well, definitely with digital fashion coming into the space and then obviously our natural individualistic and curiosity in us to really want to showcase who we are. Fashion is so intertwined with all of us, whether it be just everyday life or going to a show or going to meet your friends. Fashion is an intricate part of our lives and it shows our character in a way. And digital fashion has definitely changed that and gives us a new, unique experience, right? And so with that being said, and it's completely changing the physical world as well, right? So how is Dematerialized and LUKSO working together or separately, shaping one's identity, and how is that affecting the digital space and the landscape, especially also with involving NFTs and different digital fashion accessible items as well?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And I think, the process of digitalization and dematerialization is something that is not new. And people are always a bit baffled when they feel that fashion can become immaterial. Like the notion of digital fashion for a lot of people, at least until a few years ago, it seemed almost like an oxymoron. It was like a contradiction in itself. It didn't make any sense. But I think as humans, we do have a need to express ourselves. We have a need to show who we are beyond what constitutes us physically through our imagination, through our creativity. And fashion is definitely a fantastic output for that. And obviously, we are all trying to navigate this world and understand the world we're living. But the most exciting time I think we have ever experienced as humanity is the current one. And it's so exciting because we're truly building a second reality on top of this reality. And that reality is limitless and is full with fantasy and possibilities. And in that space, we will shape our identities and we will express our identities in the same way. So in that space that we are creating, we need to we need to have cool stuff to wear and hang. And the way we're doing it, I think, is a dual mission. Obviously, with LUKSO, it's a technology mission. It's a mission of creating open source protocols that are available for everybody, and they can truly power the creators and the brands, etc., to enter the space in what we believe is the right way to do so. And then through the Dematerialize, it's really to creating a beautiful, super easy to use experience for our users in terms of having an amazing creation of products and really putting a lot of focus in the interoperability of those products. In terms of if you buy an NFT, it's not like I bought it, so what? It's like now you have it, and therefore by owning this amazing product, you have access to all of these incredible utilities and spaces and cool places to hang out and things that you can do, and obviously, most importantly, being part of that community. That it means, one of the reasons why we consume and like to own certain products is because we identify with the beliefs of that brand, and we want to belong to the group of people who believe in the ethos of the brand. So that's what we are striving for.
Of course. I mean, we're always looking for something, right?
Yeah.
We're always looking for something to show and showcase our individualistic characters. And fashion is definitely a great platform to do that. And especially moving to digital, we've seen that through art, fashion, entertainment. For Dematerialized, obviously with your marketplace and your digital space and all your collaborative artists that you're working with and designers, how have you seen your growth within that space with the users? And would you share a little bit, especially with your NFTs, as well as the digital items that you're currently showcasing on the Dematerialized marketplace?
Yeah, totally. I mean, with the Dematerialized, we always have this goal and this focus of really not only addressing the current crypto NFT buyer, but truly bringing and onboarding all of those amazing people who are part of all of these cultural communities who are not part of the crypto space thus far. So we really want to onboard those people, and the way we do it is by creating a super easy to use user experience. Right now, the Web3 user journey is just very complicated, and it takes a long time to get your head around it. So we have heard the feedback from a lot of our users that, really the Dematerialized made it so easy for them to buy their first NFT, that through the Dematerialized, they became kind of like a Web3 fanatics, that now they feel like they're part of the community, that they can buy, that they can enter, and they can participate. So it's truly for us, it comes down to, technology is amazing, but it's meant to disappear, right? We always say technology has to be beautiful and invisible. Yeah. So it's supposed to disappear in a way that at the end you just have an amazing experience. And I think, we all love technology and we believe in the power of technology, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to enjoy it, right? And that's the mission of the Dematerialize, is to really create a journey that it makes it super easy. And when we started, yes, there was a lot of skepticism.
Sure.
So people will ask me questions tell me Mario, you're so smart. Why you're doing this weird thing?
Right.
Why you don't do something proper, like DeFi? So people were quite kind of skeptic, but I think time has proven us right, and of course having events, when we see specific established fashion houses entering the space, or where we see, something like what we will speak later, you will speak with Benoit, like the acquisition of Artifact from Nike, it really validates the whole value proposition to the industry.
Definitely. I mean, digital fashion space has tremendously just disrupted the whole traditional fashion space, right? So business models are shifting, and now luxury brands, fashion houses, anything dealing with fashion the mind shift has changed now to the digital space. And so obviously with Dematerialize and with LUKSO, I would love to talk about that. How is LUKSO and Dematerialize working together? And also, how is LUKSO shifting and how is that being used within the fashion space? And what's your response? Have you heard good things, bad things? What does it solve within the traditional fashion space? Yes. I would love to hear more about that.
Yes, I mean, I think in retrospective, it was a very intelligent move. When I started the Dematerialize, we became the first user of LUKSO's technology, and therefore the biggest critic. So it was very interesting to be co-founder of Fund Ventures and being so immersed in both, but also I had to be very critical in terms of guys, we can do this better. And I became the user of our own product, which is always the best thing you can do.
Of course.
So obviously the Dematerialize, what it does is, LUKSO, everything is open source, protocols, examples. You can go into our GitHub and read all of the documentations and utilize it. But basically, we started by being the first user, so implementing the universal profile, is implementing all of the smart contract standards that LUKSO was proposing. And then in that way, we have two separate tech teams, so we operate truly as we are two separate companies. But then the Dematerialize was really being the first kind of like user of those technologies. So it was a very interesting experience, and therefore we were able to give immense amount of feedback. Obviously, because I'm involved in both ventures, I have the ability to get things straight out of the oven, or slightly before they were ready out of the oven, to be utilized in the Dematerialize. And it has been a great experience, right? And obviously, LUKSO has a specific proposition in terms of identity, in terms of how users interact with smart contract accounts, the way the metadata for smart contracts should work, and all of that stuff. So that's kind of like our proposition in there. And then for the Dematerialize, we are definitely harvesting that as well.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, I can totally see the synergy that's happening between all that, and definitely, I'm sure it's changing the game. I'm sure. What's the future do you see, especially with LUKSO and Dematerialize, and even in the digital fashion space? What's your 5-year, 10-year outlook on our space, our digital fashion space, and how it's being evolved, or how do you see it growing within the space?
Amazing. Well, I think we have seen in the last, 18 months an accelerated growth in kind of like how these topics enter the cultural conversation in a way that we kind of knew was going to happen, but we didn't expect it was going to happen quite so fast.
Right.
And then, when you see amazing publications and companies with such a long history and tradition like WWD engaging, the cat is out of the hat, or the rabbit, whatever animal it is. That's right now we see kind of like we have seen a growth that was kind of unexpected. I think the future is really exciting because we know when a technology is available, it's not going to go away, right? So if something could happen, very likely it's going to happen. So I think what I look forward to is kind of like a normalization in the conversation in terms that people don't talk about fashion NFTs or digital fashion or hardware fashion or regular fashion. I think it will just be different product categories within cultural consumption, and we will not need that prefix of it's physical or it's digital or whatever it might be. It's just different product categories, and it will be 100% normalized for the consumption. So what I see a future in which, very likely, and I think this is my personal belief, is that this is the biggest disruption we have experienced in the fashion industry. And this is the first time fashion can truly enter a growth curve that simulates something close to exponential growth, which with traditional fashion methods is not possible.
Well, definitely with trends and within fashion changes so much. Even here in Korea, trends within fashion industry change so quickly. Overnight, it changes. And we see that in the digital space as well. How is Dematerialize and also LUKSO, how are you guys dealing with that, and how are you connecting and engaging with your community? What's the process that you go through, especially as a digital fashion house, if I can say? How are you guys managing that and doing that as a process, and how are you looking forward to different trends, working with different artists or brands? What's your process when you start creating your projects?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, with the Dematerialize, we have a pretty straightforward process, in which is like if it's a digital native designer or creator, or if it's a traditional fashion house or creator. So I think those are kind of like the two pathways when we bifurcate journeys. And then in terms of when we deal with the fashion creators, it's very easy because they understand the market, they understand the utility, they understand what is coming. And when it is a traditional fashion house, it's always we go through a process of understanding how we translate the ethos of this brand into a digital proposition. So that's a slightly two different process.
Sure.
For LUKSO, it's different because LUKSO doesn't necessarily engage with customers in that sense, right? LUKSO is a decentralized protocol, and everything we do is open source. So our proposition is basically we create these things, we propose them, we put it out there to the community, and the community can decide if they use them or not. We do have an array of startups, kind of like beta testing already LUKSO at this stage, and then we had a hackathon that ended a couple of days ago, and we had amazing, I don't remember how many, but I think it was over 80 submissions of amazing projects, all kind of like deploying and utilizing LUKSO's smart contracts and universal profiles and all of that stuff. So it's open source. So it's two completely different worlds, kind of thing. In the ones I live in two different worlds. And for dematerialized, obviously, we do have that direct commercial relationship with the creators, which is very exciting.
Last question is, what's the future with Dematerialize and LUKSO? We talked about your future outlook, but where do you want to go and take it? Maybe some upcoming projects that you're working on that you're passionate about? I mean, you just mentioned Hackathon and all these wonderful platforms that you're using. Would you be able to share us the future of Dematerialize? And we'd love to hear more.
Pleasure. Well, you guys in the video, you saw a sneak peek of something that is not launched yet, because the Dematerialize, I think, after tomorrow, we are planning to launch. We might have a delay, maybe not. We're planning to relaunch our interface. So now, when you land in the Dematerialize, you will land in this amazing 3D environment in which you can discover the products. Amazing. It's really beautiful. It works in mobile. It's a really cool experience. And we're really working really hard on transform that web experience to something that feels like a single-player experience in terms of like your buying kind of like journey and discovery journey. So that's what the Dematerialize, and definitely is like. Becoming and continue being the thought leaders of a space and expanding to amazing markets. I mean, we're passionate and very excited about Japan and Korea, and we believe the demographics here. People are so young. Culture, I mean, Korean culture is informing Western culture heavily at the moment. Something that in the past the dynamics were different. So definitely entering new markets and continue leading through thought leadership to amazing products and amazing examples. So yeah, a little bit of world domination will be great. and then for LUKSO, we've been working on LUKSO for 5 years now. So it's been a while, and we really have a big tech team working very intensively and very hard into the things that we're proposing. So the idea is to have to launch as soon as possible. We're right now in beta stage, so everybody can go ahead and check our GitHub repository and start building on LUKSO. But we really hope to have the first 1.0 release very, very soon. So that's the future.
Well, thank you, Marjorie, for your time. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Anytime, dude.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.